All right, if one more person sends me an email having a meltdown about how I left the Harley Nation and I'm a traitor, oh my God, we got to talk about this. So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So this is going to be a 2,000-mile review of my 2020 Gold Wing Tour. I just picked this up this year. It is obviously new to me. Now, if you're new to this channel, there's some things we need to explain. I've had 7 bikes in the 14 years that I've ridden. I've owned 2 Harley-Davidsons. I've owned the Ultra Limited, the Road Glide Limited, and now the Gold Wing Tour as far as full-size touring bikes. Now, a lot of people are confused as to why I did this. It didn't make sense to them. I loved my Road Glide, blah, 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 blah. So let's talk about why and what I love about this bike. So the Road Glide was a great bike. There's no doubt that the Road Glide is an excellent motorcycle, but it wasn't an excellent motorcycle for me over time. And let's get into why. First off, I never felt super comfortable with the Road Glide, especially with the apes on it. I was thinking about lowering the handlebars, but my wife, who's extremely sensitive to the smoothness of the ride, we could never get the Legend suspension set up the way we wanted it. So we decided at that point it was easier to change bikes. Now, I've never been a Harley fanboy, if you will, and I don't mean it as an insult. I've ridden metric bikes, I've ridden Harleys. I don't really have a preference. I like to ride, and I like to ride what I like to ride. Now, there were 2 bikes that were in contention for the spot to replace the Gold Wing. It was the BMW K1200, 1600, either the Grand American version or the GTL. The Gold Wing won out on that is because of cost. The Gold Wing used was extremely cheap, strangely cheap. Motorcycle's fantastic. It's in great shape. So we went to it because it was what fit us. The bike's a lot lighter. It has reverse. I know. Everybody's going to lose their shit because I bought a motorcycle with reverse. The reason I bought a motorcycle with reverse, and a lot of people don't realize, is I have a really bad knee. It's very hard for me to back the bike up, especially in a slight incline driveway like I have. That made sense to me. You're also looking at a bike that's 100 pounds lighter, give or take. Don't flame me in the comments for that. It's give or take. You've got a heated seat, you've got a heated backrest, you've got automatic bags that unlock when you walk up to it and unlock when you walk away from it. It sounds like a CVO, doesn't it? Brand new, it's $29,000. Hell of a lot cheaper than a CVO. Now, I'm gonna say, in all defense to Harley, nobody makes paint like Harley. Harley's paint jobs are phenomenal, especially when you go to a CVO level. However, this is a bike I want to ride. This is a bike I want to ride in all weather. The paint is immaterial to me. Yes, it looks nice, and there is no denying that my Road Glide was a sexy bike. Absolutely no denying. This is more plain. It's a blacked out bike, but it fits my needs. One of the bikes I had before this, KTL, or the R6MK1, fantastic bike. You didn't worry about whether it got dirty, wet, what have you. This is very similar because it's an all plastic body. Now that is the downfall, like I said, of the look of this bike. It doesn't have the feel of the Harley-Davidson, and there is no denying that rumble, especially with the twin cam. That bike felt alive. It felt very primal. But the difference in the Gold Wing is actually the opposite, and you wouldn't think that. And this being a touring bike, I like the fact that it doesn't rumble so much. It doesn't have that shake to it. It makes for a smoother ride. It has an electronic adjusting suspension, and that is key for us. We ride probably a good 75% of the riding is me alone. And then the other part of that riding is with my wife. At least in recent years, we're going to change that. She's going to be riding more on the bike. Now that's the key. If you set the bike up for a single rider, especially with the Legends, you're kind of in the middle. If I set it up for 2, then I have a rougher rider when it's single. If I set it up for single, it's a rougher rider than we're 2. Yes, you can adjust that, but I never could get it right. The electronic suspension is fantastic. I have a setting for whether it's just me. I have a setting for me if it's with cargo, a setting for my passenger where we're 2 up, and a fully loaded bike with luggage. Now there are going to be some drawbacks to the GoldWing. The GoldWing storage size is less, certainly less. But the GoldWing is more of a sport touring bike. And I know everyone's like, dear God, it's a GoldWing, it's a grandpa bike. You've got to ride have New Balance tires or sneakers to ride it. That's not true. This is a sport touring bike. This bike is extremely nimble, and when it's horizontally opposed 6-cylinder engine, it is extremely powerful. Now, this is the thing that we need to get to have an understanding. This is a touring bike. This isn't a bike that I'm trying to allure people and get people to talk to me about how flashy my bike is. If you want that, Harley is definitely the winner. If you want something that's a very cost-effective bike, I have a hard time believing you can beat the GoldWing. $29,000, $28,000 new compared to a bike that would be as loaded, which would be the CVO version, you're looking at least $10,000, $15,000 cheaper. The other thing that I like with the GoldWing is I have an electronically adjustable suspension. I'm sorry, I've already covered that. The electronically controlled windshield, which I love because when I use this as my commuter bike on back roads, I can lower the windshield, get a lot more air. I can raise it up for the highway. Again, it makes it a more versatile bike. But here's the thing, and I'll freely admit the downfall of the GoldWing. The GoldWing's nav and entertainment system is nothing like the Harley-Davidson. Now, that's in its stock configuration. If you go ahead and use CarPlay works fantastic. You have a very, I forget the wattage, I want to say it's a 45 watt stereo. It bumps. It's plenty loud on the bike, especially because the bike's quieter. However, the one thing it does not do, and it's frustrating, is you cannot use CarPlay, connect to my passenger, and then have communications at the same time. Now, there are workarounds to do it, but you can't do it stock out of the factory. To me, that is a blatant drop for Honda. They really missed the mark with that. It's the one thing that I did like with the Harley system. You connected it to the bike and it just worked. It didn't work well all the time, but it worked. The thing that drove me absolutely insane, especially now that Harley-Davidson has gone to the newer system, the Skyline system, whatever it's called, you're suckered into using Senna. In the case of the Harley that we had the Senna 50Ss. I don't personally like them. They work. But they would drop a lot. You couldn't use them with other Senna systems that were not Harley branded. So you're really paying the Harley tax for that. Thing that I love with the GoldWing is I can use any comm system. The comm system that's built in on some of my helmets, my Schuberths over there, has a Cardo built in. I also have the Senna version that I was testing in the Cardo. I can switch out whatever headsets I want to use and they simply just work. Is that a big deal for most people? Absolutely not. For me, as a YouTuber and testing out equipment, it's a huge deal because I can switch comms, because not every one of my motorcycles has the same, or my helmets has the same brand of comm. But I am biased to Cardo. But even with that, and this is the interesting thing that Honda does, is I can have multiple headsets set up for me. So if I want to switch from my Schuberth S3 to my Schuberth C5, I simply select it, hit enter, and it switches. I really like that functionality, but again, that's a very small use case, but it's a use case for me that works. Now, the other thing that I really like with the GoldWing is it gives you the ability to have that versatility. And it gives you the versatility to do a lot of things that people don't think about. That versatility is huge. Like I said, as a sport touring bike, Honda made clearly a choice in making the bike smaller as far as storage and the bike a lot more streamlined. The fairing is not as large as it is in the Harley, so I do find myself kneeing up the tank more to be protected from the elements. That is definitely a downside and definitely where Harley wins in that. The thing where Harley loses in this is how nimble the Goldwing is. Now, I know a lot of people will disagree with this, but all I can say is if you don't believe me, go test ride one and you yourself will find out just exactly how nimble the bike is. The stock system, if you're not using Apple CarPlay, is very antiquated. I don't like the way the nav system works. It's very archaic. It feels like you're in a car in the early 90s when they first put navigation in it. The electronic system, it works well. The audio system, you have Sirius XM external. You can put your play music off your phone, whatnot. But it doesn't have the smoothness that I would like to see. I would like to see the navigation system updated, especially for a 2021 bike. You would think it would have a newer system. The other thing that I don't like on the Goldwing that I really liked on the Harley, and this sounds strange, is I could turn it off. I didn't have to worry with the home screen with the Goldwing. You sort of have your options and your selection options. I would love to turn that off. And I would love to have the option that I did on the Harley to switch around and make that simply my speedometer. Yes, you have an analog speedometer. It works clearly, right? But I like the fact that I would love to have a digital speedo right in the center. I like the way it looks. I've always found that to be really cool. And it takes away from all the noise of the dash. Like the electronic dash, don't like the electronic dash. Sometimes it's really nice just to turn it off and be back to a basic motorcycle, if you will. The horizontally opposed 6-cylinder motor, I've heard different numbers. I was watching Chase on Two Wheels, did a great video on the Goldwing, but you're looking at about 125 pounds of horsepower, 125 pounds of torque. Now, my Road Glide, which was a 2020, was a stage 2 bolt-in cam, was getting 110 horsepower as a stage 2 motorcycle, no cat, full exhaust system. That's a big difference. So someone had to put all that money to make my bike a stage 2 when the Goldwing stock out of the box will smoke it as far as the power and the speed of this bike. Now, it's a touring bike. Speed really doesn't matter, but torque certainly does, and you're getting more from that. The downside of the Goldwing does not have the tip-over protection that the Road Glide did. I've dropped my Road Glide, as most of us have. I dropped my Limited, things happen. Protected with the bars, no problem. I dropped the Goldwing when I was out riding. The bike literally dropped on its side, flat on the road. The bike was laying on its side, damaged the saddlebag. So right out of the gate, when you roll the bike off the showroom, it's not protected. That to me is a huge miss by Honda. Honda should have changed that. If you're gonna build a touring bike, you need to build a touring bike with protection, especially with a horizontally opposed engine. The other thing that I don't like with the Goldwing is it just has simply too many controls that are redundant. It has controls on the thumbs. You can control it from the handlebars, which I like. Everything's right there while you're riding. But then it also has that center dash that has a lot of redundancy of the buttons. It's nice, but you are forced to put in nav addresses and so forth with the center button. It works, but it's a little bit tedious because of having to use that knob. You have to pull over to do it. Again, for safety, it makes sense, but it seems a little bit silly that everything is controlled. The bigger controls are for that. For the heated seat for myself, the heated grips are all from the center console. I don't particularly like that. I would like to have the option, at least for the grips, to be on the bars like the Harley. I thought that was a great feature. Most heated seats, you reach down and turn them on. That's really not a big deal, so having it on the dash or on the center console, if you will, that makes sense. But the heated grips, things like that, and then having all these redundant buttons just seems silly to me. The other thing that I don't like with the Goldwing is the tank is a little bit smaller. The fuel economy is good, but it would be nice to have a larger gas tank. Does it really matter that much? Probably not, but in your head, it's always nice to have the larger tank. The aftermarket products that are available for the Goldwing are certainly not as much as the Harley, although I would argue if you're buying a Goldwing, you're not going to be modding it out for bike night and putting chasing lights on it and all the crazy shenanigans that you would with your Harley. So in wrapping this up, what I really do feel, for me personally, the Goldwing is a superior bike to the Road Glide. Not to say that there was anything wrong with the Road Glide for other people, that you shouldn't buy one, but for me, the Goldwing is just a much better fit. It's more nimble, it's smoother, especially with having two overdrives. Fifth is 1-to-1 pretty much. 6 is a true overdrive. Most of the time I even keep the bike in 4th gear. It's got so much power, I've pulled out of stop signs in 3rd gear with no problem because I wasn't paying attention. It's a really good bike, and I know that the metric haters out there that are probably watching this video and getting ready to make all these crazy comments, it is a great bike, and again, you need to try it. The one thing that I cannot stand in the motorcycle community is brand loyalty. There are so many other bikes out there. I don't care if you want a small displacement bike, a large displacement bike. Try things and be open-minded. But within the first 2,000 miles, I can tell you, for me personally, the Goldwing smokes both Harleys that I had. As far as the comfort, as far as the electronic suspension, the adjustable windshield, absolutely love this bike. I'm really looking forward to putting together a video for the first 5,000 miles, the first 10,000 miles, and my experience with touring with this. I have done some light touring, haven't had a chance to do some really heavy touring yet for multiple days. I've done long day rides in it, but I'm really looking forward to bringing that content to you. I am going to be doing some upgrades on the bike. Like I said, they are limited. I'm doing some lighting by Zero. I put on, Gold Strike. I put on a Saddleman heated seat. I have a clear view windshield. I have T-Rex motor guards as well as saddlebag guards, which, like, again, you absolutely need those two products out of the gate. Going to be putting highway pegs on it. So if it's something you're interested in, I would hope you would consider subscribing and following along with the Goldwing content. Harley riders, I still love you. No beef, but I wanted to make this video because my comments have blown up and you would have thought I was a traitor and should be shot at dawn. But in all seriousness, try other brands. You may be surprised with what you like. And let's stop emailing me, right? Can we stop emailing me, DMing me that I made a mistake, because I didn't. That's all I had. I'd be really interested in your opinions on what you think about the Goldwing. Have you ever tried one? If you haven't tried one, like, again, your argument is invalid if you haven't tried another brand. So if you own a Goldwing, you've never ridden a Harley, or you own a Harley, you've never ridden a Goldwing or a BMW, you're being narrow-minded. Let's be able to try other things and have a real discussion about this. Anyway, guys, that's all I had for you today. Thank you so much for watching and following along, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. See ya. And as always, please remember you're not alone.